Dude, I licked that with gum in my mouth, and it tasted so bad. It's such a bad combination.
Trace. Oh, baby. Feels so good when I do that.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to see you. In today's escapades, we're going to be looking through some different films. Lomo 800, Portra 800, and the godly CineStill 800T. The T standing for tonight is gonna be a good night. But have you noticed any reoccurring patterns? Similarities? A theme, maybe? Yeah, we're actually just talking about 800 speed film, so buckle up, put your seatbelt on. So stay tuned so you can find out which film you would take on a very long walk down the beach. Set up a romantic picnic, feed it strawberries, or maybe caress its feet a little bit. Some people like that. Do I have an unhealthy relationship with film? No, of course not. So recently, I've been thinking about film. Okay, fine. I always think about film. But that's not the point. The point is, I've been thinking about 800 speed film all year. It's more sensitive than most films, kind of like my Aunt Debbie, which means you can actually shoot it much later into the day than you can with normal film. And it gives us chunkier grain, which all of us film photography fanatics love. There's a reason we shoot film. We also like those crisp, sexy, low grain ISOs as well. I'm looking at you, Ektachrome. No, I'm coming for you. But 800 ISO film just gives us that warm, grainy feeling inside. It makes us want to curl up with our little kitties and fall asleep with no worries at all. So naturally, that means I have to compare all of the 800 film speeds that I can find. CineStills, Portraits, Lomos. That's all I know. So if there's another one, let me know. But didn't make this cut. So, I do have to confess something. I've kind of been working on this episode for a while now. Ever since Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. Second best to National Crocs Day. Look it up, it's real. On that May the 4th, the story starts as most stories do start. Jason and I went out shooting.
Jason. Mamiya.
But, and this is the biggest of the butts, you know, like Kardashian size butts. Those shots look like yeah. They did. I'm not afraid to admit it. Mostly, it's because it was the first time I was using the Mamiya RZ67. Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing then. And even on that second night of reshooting, still, I didn't use that camera properly. It was that gosh darn it battery save mode that did it. Maybe I should read the manual, but it would help if I knew how to read. So, good going, Caleb. Don't worry, if you've seen this channel before, you know, I finally figured it out. Go check out that video of the RZ67, because it's a good one. Now, I've been shooting CineStill 800T since 2017, and Portra 800 since 2019. Lomo as of like last week. So, naturally, some films will have more photos. But I wanted to give you a little flavor of what the different 800 films look like throughout time. Now, with that said, let's jump right in. Now, as you and your mother both know, CineStill is just Kodak disguised in a more expensive box. I mean, red box. it's in a red box. But for reals, everyone knows this, CineStill is just Kodak motion picture film without the remjet layer, or as the woolly mammoths used to call it, icky goo stuff. CineStill is actually 500 speed film, so really the film is just trying to jump weight class. It's like the skinny guy just being like, hey, I can play with the big dogs. Obviously, I've never been a wrestler.
Nice ass shot.
Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing.
When I went to India, I actually had my EOS1n with me, which allowed me to take Portra 800 and CineStill 800T and shoot it during the day. And earlier this year, when Jason and I went on our Sierras trip, I ended up taking Portra 800 and shooting in his Contax T2. I'm actually really pleased with how the colors turned out. When it comes to Portra, Portra has an unfair advantage. It's part of the Portra lineup of films, and people go nuts for Portra. I love shooting Portra 800, especially my EOS1n. That camera goes up to 1/8,000th of a second shutter speeds. It's like, pa! And because Portra 800 is Portra, it can handle overexposure very well. Now, for a while, I've actually been hearing about this mythical Lomo 800 film. Everyone kept telling me how amazing it was. I mean, if you could find it. But on one of these perfect days, the clouds parted and the sun just shined brightly. There it was, Lomo 800, ready for me to purchase. So naturally, I ordered myself some Lomo 800 and waited anxiously. Now, if you believe in internet conjecture or grainy days, Lomo 800 is nothing but Kodak wrapped up in a shiny package. I mean, aren't we all just pretending to be something we're not? So naturally, this brings me to a recent trip Jason and I took just a few weeks ago.
Hey.
Which I'll get more in depth in another video, but the gist is, in the beginning I decided to shoot more Portra 800 and Lomo 800 to round out my 800 film test.
The thing about Lomo is that they just get the packaging right. Following the rules, Jason.
Either that or I'm hungover. I think you're hungover, bro.
sorry, can you just ignore the dust on this image? It's what happens when A, you use LA water, and B, you're lazy. Yeah, I have no excuse for that. Then I decided to shoot more Lomo 800 at sunset when we went to a little beach town up in the bay. The sun was on fleek. It was amazing. Crisp sun just reflecting off the water. Have you ever seen magic in real life? I think the Lomo 800 did a great job capturing the sunset.
Cool area. Dude, that was pretty smooth putting on your mask without hands.
Overall, Lomo 800 has pretty good dynamic range. Would I say it's on par with Portra? No, probably not, but it's damn close. Maybe it's just me believing the internet hype, but it does seem like Lomo is an older version of Portra in some sort, or a little bit more consumer grade film. But like I said, that could just be internet rumors. Let's talk some prices. Two of these films have actually changed the price this year. Unfortunately, Portra has gone up and Lomo 800 has actually gone down. Now, you have to buy Lomo 800 in a 3-pack, but per roll is $860. Now, if you get Portra 800, you're looking at about $1142 when it comes to a per roll price. CineStill 800T. CineStill, being CineStill, the creme de la creme, it's a whopping $13.99. You gotta pay for that remjet removal somehow. Before, Lomo and Portra were really close to each other in price, so Lomo 800 is looking real good right now. It's like, hey, how you doing today? Y'all good? 'Cause I am too. I think where Lomo 800 really shines is at sunset. I'm not a huge fan of the colors that I was getting during the day with Lomo 800. They weren't bad by any means, but they were okay. One of my favorite shots, I think, is a couple overlooking the ocean during sunset. The composition, I think, is great, and I think the colors are magnificent. CineStill does great all around. During the day, taking photos of gas stations at night, it's just a really solid emulsion and will get you great colors. I think my favorite image shot on CineStill 800T is of this picnic bench with caution tape all around it. Portra 800 is obviously solid all around, but some of my favorite colors that I've gotten from it are during sunrise and sunset. It also does really, really well with color blue, and one of my favorite images is the shot of a pool in the early morning. When looking back at these three films, it's kind of hard for me to say which one I prefer. They all have their own characteristics that make them all look dead sexy. If you like the look of halation around your lights, CineStill is your lemon meringue. Yeah, I watched Bake Off. Now, if you're wanting that good old Portra science, that trusty steed that's always there for you, Portra 800 is a classic that just won't let you down. And if you want to save a buck or two and not sacrifice your firstborn, Lomo 800 is a great choice. I really liked how a lot of my images turned out. Mwah. In all honesty, sometimes it's hard to actually tell them all apart, other than CineStill's halation. Sometimes they all share the same quality. They all have excellent dynamic range. They're all Kodak films, so what do you expect? I mean, theoretically, they're all Kodak films, unless you don't believe the lies on the internet. So I think what I learned from this entire process is Lomo 800 is pretty decent, especially with that new price gap between all the films. It's good. It's good quality. Some of my Lomo films I accidentally flashed in the dark bag because, well, let's just face it, I'm an idiot. Overall, CineStill is just so good. I do love CineStill, and that's why I keep buying it all the time. I mean, sure, can I get 10 more rolls of Lomo 800 for CineStill's price? Yeah, I mean, the math doesn't add up, so just don't try to do that math. I think it is really buy the film for that specific project. And if you just like to play around like I do, Lomo 800 is pretty good. Well, next time on Bad Flashes, join Jason and I for a trip up the coast. Spoiler alerts, we're taking photos, so that's gonna be fun. Bye!